Nel nome del Padre, Figliolo, Spirito Santo. Amen.
Such a separation.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. Special shout out now to those people who are watching and listening to this as the recorded video. We post all of my talks on BitChute, on Rumble, on YouTube. Please subscribe to whatever platform you're watching this on and leave a comment. Love to read your comments. And if you are so guided, please hit the like button. The more people who like these videos, the more outreach they have. So thank you for watching, and watch all the videos. They're great. And leave a comment. We're beginning what the Christian world calls Holy Week, or in honor of Juliana, who's in Mexico, Semana Santa. That's what they call it in Mexico. Holy Week. Holy Week starts with Palm Sunday and goes through to Easter Sunday. Actually, then it's Holy 8 Days. Holy Week, though, one of the big celebrations in the Christian faith, usually thought of as the biggest celebration in the Christian faith. A Course in Miracles does refer to Holy Week. In fact, it has a section in the text titled Holy Week, and it mentions Holy Week many times. Many A Course in Miracles students are a little uncomfortable when A Course in Miracles has these direct Christian references, and some students just try to overlook these Christian references and kind of just skip over them, sort of like they don't matter. However, I think that's a little risky if you want to get the entire Course in Miracles philosophy and really get it in the power and energy that it is being offered to us. I don't think these Christian references are really extraneous or superfluous or somehow irrelevant. I think they actually are kind of relevant. And there should be some effort made to at least hear them, place them in context, and then if you feel comfortable enough, to really embrace them, because I do think a lot can be learned in them, and there's a great gift to all these direct Christian references. I mean, if they weren't needed, Jesus wouldn't have included them in A Course in Miracles. Remember, A Course in Miracles itself tells us we are studying a unified thought system in which nothing is lacking that is needed, and nothing is included that is contradictory or irrelevant. So if it's in A Course in Miracles, and there are a lot of traditional Christian references in A Course in Miracles, then they're not contradictory and they're not irrelevant, which means they must flow along with the teaching and actually help the teaching, and they must be very relevant for us to embrace and learn from. So maybe if for just the next 20 minutes or so, you can open yourself up to some of these traditional Christian ideas. I think they have a lot to offer to us and to the world as a whole. You can filter them out, and I know people who do. I know somebody who's created a whole version of A Course in Miracles that has removed all the Christian terms. And that's fine. Whatever anybody does is fine. But for now, I want to embrace them. I mean, you ask yourself, do you really want to take out all the Christian terms in A Course in Miracles? I mean, you could. You can filter out Christianity from A Course in Miracles. I was using an analogy this week. For me, it's kind of like filtering out the caffeine from coffee. Yeah, you can drink decaf if you want to. It has the appearance of regular coffee. It even kind of smells and tastes like regular coffee. However, it doesn't have the energetic punch of coffee. And to me, a person who loves coffee and who really loves the energetic punch of coffee, I think decaf is an abomination. In fact, if I was going to have a debate and I was going to argue about the existence of the devil, I would definitely use the fact that decaf coffee is in the world. To me, points to that the devil probably actually does exist because decaf coffee is really diabolical. Okay, I'm just joking. Uh, but taking Christianity out of A Course in Miracles, yeah, you're left with something. But I just think you got so much more if you leave it in. So I leave it in and I embrace it and I'm fine with it. As I said, there is a section in the course that is actually titled Holy Week. And we read from that section just a little while ago. And it says, a week is short, and yet this Holy Week is the symbol of the whole journey the Son of God has undertaken. He started with the sign of victory, the promise of resurrection already given him. So Holy Week starts with Palm Sunday, which is today, and Palm Sunday is the sign of victory. Jesus had been involved in the area around Galilee and Jerusalem, actively healing the sick and preaching and even raising the dead. And he'd gathered quite a following. Of course, not everybody loved Jesus. A lot of people thought he was a heretic and that he was a false prophet. So there were a lot of problems, but there were those people who really did connect with him and really did love him, and he was starting to amass quite a movement. And when he went into Jerusalem on the Sunday before the Passover celebration, uh, it was a big festival in Jerusalem. Everybody was there. All the Jewish people, a lot of Jewish people, went to Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover, to be in the one temple. So when Jesus rode into Jerusalem, he was celebrated like a hero, and they waved the people waved palms in the air, which is what they did to celebrating heroes. I got a picture of some waving palms. I figure even though we're in a digital format, we have to do our best here. So there you go. Hopefully that's the waving palms. Yes, that's the waving palms. Okay, let's wave a few palms here. That's what they were waving when Jesus rode into Jerusalem. This was a thing that had been going on in ancient times. Palms were these big things that really extended your reach, and they were very visible. And it had just gotten to be the habit of exalting military heroes or any kind of hero with the waving of palms. And so when Jesus rode into the city of Jerusalem on a colt of a donkey, rode in very humbly, but they were celebrating him with waving of palms. And that's when the Course says this week begins with the triumphant celebration of victory. That is what it is talking about. So we need to get into that energy today, that energy of celebration. And it's a joyful celebration. And what the Course says is that the promise of resurrection has already been given us. So, I mean, that's something to just think about. I mean, that's something that we can embrace and that we can really celebrate. Regardless of where we are in our lives, we need to remember that the way to heal from that, the way to overcome that, the way to resurrect from whatever crucifixion might be going on, we already have it. It's already been imprinted into our consciousness. All the healing, all the overcoming, um, all the resurrection that we are ever going to need as we face the challenging appearances that are in our lives, They're already there. And that's why we can be triumphant. And doesn't matter how humbly we ride in, as I said a moment ago. Remember, Jesus rode into Jerusalem to fulfill a prophecy that the Messiah would ride in on a donkey. So a donkey was an everyday work animal. It wasn't a majestic animal like a horse. So Jesus rode into Jerusalem in this very humble way on an everyday work animal. And yet there was still much to celebrate. The people celebrated him. And as A Course in Miracles just told us, we can celebrate because every healing, redemption, resurrection that we need is there in our minds already imprinted. So the celebration of life goes on unabated, regardless of what may appear to be in our lives. And I think that's, for me, part of the message of Palm Sunday that I certainly want to carry into the world with me this year, every year. So this is a celebration that is honoring ourselves. Course in Miracles would tweak the traditional Palm Sunday story a little bit. We're not here to honor Jesus as much as we are here to honor ourselves because we are equal to Jesus. And Course in Miracles says this is Palm Sunday, the celebration of victory and the acceptance of the truth. I mean, that's a pretty direct statement. Now, I think we should be aware and observe those few holidays that A Course in Miracles actually does mention. Mentions New Year, mentions Christmas, it mentions Easter, and it does mention Holy Week and Palm Sunday. So I think it's important for us to acknowledge that. Course in Miracles asks us frequently, why are you not rejoicing? So why aren't we? Palm Sunday is one of those times to rejoice, regardless of the harsh appearances that are going to follow through Holy Week. The imprint of the resurrection is still there within us, within Jesus, and there was still a real reason to celebrate. The Messiah is here. The Messiah isn't necessarily Jesus, though. The Messiah is us. And we who study A Course in Miracles know this message from A Course in Miracles. Course in Miracles says, I came for the salvation of the world. That's workbook lesson number 319. And another workbook lesson, it says, I am the means God has appointed for the salvation of the world. So the Messiah that rides in to wherever in celebration is us. Can we connect to that energy here at the beginning of this Holy Week? I think that's what we're being challenged with, to celebrate that overcoming, that victory that is there in our minds for whatever the world may appear to offer up to us. Jesus rode into Jerusalem, as I said, to celebrate the Passover. A lot of Jewish people were in the city. There were, of course, the native Jewish people that lived in Jerusalem or in the surrounding area. But then there were many pilgrims, Jewish pilgrims, that would come into Jerusalem to worship at the one temple, which was in the city of Jerusalem. And even for Jewish people that lived very far away, making this pilgrimage into Jerusalem, even if they did it only once in their lifetime, was considered to be, just a very important thing for them to do for their faith. So there was definitely an air of being festive in the city. It was a high holy day. It was a high holiday. But as I said, Jesus's ministry had gathered a lot of attention, and the word of mouth had spread. And so they were waiting for him. And when they identified him coming in, and then they identified him as fulfilling the prophecy coming in on the young donkey, They knew who he was saying he was. He was the Messiah. And so they waved those palms and they said, Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. That's from the Bible, Matthew, who was telling the story in chapter 21. So, Hosanna is an ancient exclamation of praise, of glory. Kind of means praise and glory. It's similar to how we would say the word hail, hail. But the difference with Hosanna is Hosanna always implies some element of the deity, some element of God. You say hail to a military person. Hail to the chief. You can say hail to all kinds of people. But Hosanna you would reserve for a religious person or possibly a religious leader. So, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. So, we need to be able to say that about ourselves and about all our brothers and sisters in Christ, too. But today, on Palm Sunday, challenge yourself to be able to say that about yourself. Hosanna, blessed am I who am coming in the name of God. I am coming. I have the imprint for all the healing and overcoming and resurrection that I may ever need right in my mind. So there is nothing to fear and there is everything to celebrate. And if I'm being asked in A Course in Miracles as why am I not rejoicing, then I can answer no good reason. I am rejoicing. Look at me. Hosanna. I am coming in the name of the Lord. Praise and glory to me, to all of us, because we're all coming in the name of the Lord, and we know intuitively how to heal all things. And that is indeed what we are demonstrating. Jesus in A Course in Miracles tells us there is nothing about me, he's talking about himself, there's nothing about me that you cannot attain. I have nothing that does not come from God. So, in the traditional Christian faith, let's say the Old Covenant, uh, Holy Week and Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday is still really about Jesus. And for us now, though, in the New Covenant, us, of course, in Miracles students, we know that Jesus is telling us that we're no different than he is. And the traditional way of thinking about Jesus has put Jesus up on a very, very high pedestal. And of course, the miracles has us all up on that high pedestal. It doesn't take Jesus down from the pedestal. It just puts us all up there too. And he tells us, there's nothing about me that you cannot attain. So the glory and the praise that historically was given to Jesus on that first Palm Sunday, we need to claim. And not in the future after we feel we have finally manifested the Christ. We need to claim it now because that is part of how we manifest the Christ. And no good time like the present, so let's do it now. Let's do it 2025 on Palm Sunday. Let's let our triumphant ride into the glorious marketplace be today, be this Palm Sunday. I mean, Jesus came into the city of Jerusalem, and it was bustling with a lot of activity and with all kinds of tourists. I mean, he was in what we call the marketplace, he was in the public sphere. So there's a lot of question about how we manifest and do we manifest in quiet. And there's a lot of people say that, your spirituality needs to be, a personal thing that you don't broadcast. And not really the message of Palm Sunday, though. The Palm Sunday message is that you do broadcast it. And you do say, Hosanna, praise and glory, blessed are we who are coming in the name of God. And I want to embrace that. This idea that we want to hide our light under a bushel, that's an old Christian thing too. They expose that. Don't hide your light under a bushel. Don't hide your light under a bushel. It's Palm Sunday. Be triumphant. Be glorious. Jesus tells us in A Course in Miracles that the way to really declare ourselves and to present ourselves is by showing the world our healing. He says, show your brother your healing, and he will content to suffer no more. I mean, everybody wants to end suffering in the world. How do we do it? Well, Jesus just told us. Show your brother your healing. They'll go out into that public square, that public marketplace, and be triumphant and be glorious and declare, Hosanna, praise and glory. I'm coming in the name of God, and this is my life, and these are the healings I've had and the overcomings I've had, and I'm not worried about anything that might come up, because whatever might come up, the imprint of that resurrection, that overcoming, is already in my mind and in my consciousness. So yeah, wave those palms and lay them down at my feet, because I am coming in the name of God, and I know that I am triumphant. That's what the world's waiting for, not waiting for us to hide our light under a bushel. So we got the instructions, show our brothers and sisters our healing. That's Jesus's command for Palm Sunday, to ride triumphantly with humility. There is that message, that image of the donkey, the young donkey, the colt of a donkey. So it's not a prideful, bragging thing, but it is a public witness kind of thing. It's a public witness of our healing through faith. And when we do that, and let's do it today, we will hear the world itself proclaim, Hosanna, blessed are you who come in the name of God. So don't forget to wave a few palms for yourself and for your brothers and sisters on this Palm Sunday, the beginning of this Holy Week. And be triumphant. And don't worry about anything that might be coming, because you have the imprint for all the healing and all the resurrection that you are ever going to need. Happy Palm Sunday and happy Holy Week. That's my talk for today. Thank you for listening.
Nel nome del Padre, Figliolo, Spirito Santo. Amen.
Such a separation.
Have you been lonely? Have you been sad?